I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. My good friend and co-host Michael Cohen has a few words about his testimony last week in the New York Attorney General civil fraud action and staring Donald Trump down. And as Cohen describes it, I saw a defeated person when I looked at Donald Trump. Let's hear from Michael Cohen what he thought about his testimony, what he thought about the court proceedings, what he thought about looking at a defeated man in Donald Trump, and also Donald Trump's absurd and delusional legal strategy in the New York Attorney General case. Play the clip.
I don't know which one of these three morons, Cliff Robert, Chris Kise, or Alina Habba, came up with some strategy, this fakakta strategy that they sold to Donald, that by denigrating me, calling me a liar, a perjurer, a convict, that was going to somehow put an end to the entire AG's case. And boy, was Judge Engoron, I don't want to say angry, but I would say shocked the first time that Cliff Robert turned around and said to him, I want to move for a directed verdict. I mean, you're in the middle, you're really right at the very beginning or a third of the way through the entire trial. They have dozens of more witnesses. And as Engoron said, we have many, many more witnesses. We've heard from other witnesses, and we have enough documentation to fill up this courtroom. His answer was absolutely denied. And Cliff Robert couldn't take that because Trump smashes his hand on the table, jumps up. Secret Service was fucking shocked. He's all fucking flustered. If anybody like me is a UFC, fan, think of it this way. So the fighters the MMA fighters in the ring, and he's all cocky and confident, and they're sparring against one another. And lo and behold, the other fighter lands a groin kick right to the nutsack. And all of a sudden you see that blank look. It's like the life came out of him. He had no idea what the fuck was happening. All of a sudden, he literally thought he was going to walk out to that gaggle of like 500 press. It was insane that he was going to walk out to this gaggle, and all of a sudden, he was going to be victorious. He's going to put those scrawny arms up in the air, and he's going to say, witch hunt, I told you, and so on. This is just the beginning of my victories against all of these radical left Trump haters and so on. And he got his ass shot down, and he starts blabbering something. He walks out and literally has a 5-second press conference, comes back and turns around and basically threatens me, which honestly, we sent a letter to the Office of the Attorney General. And we're like, this is just not fucking right. You have an obligation to protect your witnesses. This is a civil case. This is the case that's going to financially wreck the Mandarin Mussolini. But you know what's going to take his ass apart? The criminal cases like the one that starts in March with Alvin Bragg. That's a state case. And when he gets convicted, it becomes a real issue because generally you get convicted in the state court. You go to Rikers Island. He's not going to go to Rikers Island. I can assure you that. As a former president with Secret Service protection, he's going to go somewhere, but they may end up just doing some sort of crazy home confinement scenario. And you've heard me say this, Brigaders. I would be okay with that. The conviction, the accountability. It's almost like what we showed yesterday when Ben put up the clip, Salty put up the clip, I should say, where all of a sudden it's like I come to the microphones and I say, this is not about Michael Cohen versus Donald Trump or Donald Trump versus Michael Cohen. This is about accountability. Well, what does Trump say? He's a liar. There's nothing that he says that you should listen to. It's all a lie. This is a witch hunt from a radical left judge. It's all about this racist attorney general. It's all about getting Trump. And all of a sudden, right, he starts talking about this nonsense and going on and on. Salty, if you have the clip please play that one where he's talking about me. This is really messed up. And the fact that he then goes ahead and he's now threatening me, and it's made the press all over the place that Donald Trump actually goes ahead and issues threats. The greatest part about the whole thing is if you read the transcript on it, it's illogical. It doesn't make sense. If you were in third grade and handed that into your teacher, to Miss Smith, she'd give you a flying fucking F in red, tell you have mommy and daddy sign it because you're a babbling fool. It makes no sense at all. And this is a guy who was the former president of the United States and wants to be president again.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Fume. Cold turkey, it may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. We're not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your wacky neighbor or some sketchy message board. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Now, not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. The first time I used Fume, I was shocked at how flavorful and fresh it tasted. Now, it's easy to hold and perfectly balanced and quite honestly, extremely fun to fidget with. The real wood material and sleek design definitely classes it up, and I feel pretty darn cool holding it. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Head to tryfume.com and use code BEAT to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code BEAT to save an additional 10% off your order today.
They actually thought that they had a winning strategy. They thought that there was some method that they would be able to denigrate, disparage me. Oh, look, we won the case. No, you didn't, you asshole. You're running out of one of two reasons he ran out of the court. Either he shit in his diaper, or number two, he basically lost a motion that he thought he was going to. Look, he thought he was really going to win that. They somehow sold him on a bill of goods that he was going to get a directed verdict right there after 20% to 25% of the trial is over, with millions of documents that they have and testimony and upcoming testimony. They sold him a bill of goods. And I'll tell you this, the first day, he was scowling at me. He practices the look, he looks right into the camera like that same, menacing sort of look that he tries to do, and he did with his mugshot. Oh, we're all fucking scared, right? Oh, boo fucking who. The second day, his demeanor, actually during the first day, he closed his eyes at one point, wrapped up his hands. The whole bit was throwing his head back, whether maybe he dozed off. I have no idea, but he was really angry during the direct examination by the Attorney General's lawyer to me. Second day was very different. He was actually more engaged, more awake, more alive, and he was sort of leaning in to all the questions that Alina Habba was hitting me, all yes or no questions. And yes or no questions are really very, very difficult because not everything really has a yes or no answer. First of all, there are maybes, and there's always backstories that explains why you answered it, but they would have none of that. Okay. All of a sudden, right, he's sitting there and he's almost like smirking at me with like a nasty meanness type of a smiley smirk. And then Cliff Robert makes that fucking ridiculous request for the directed verdict. The judge shoots it down. and boom, everything changes. Like I said before, like an MMA fighter who just got kicked in the groin, his face went pale, the hair maybe the hairspray just jumped out as well. All of a sudden, he leaves, and what's the first thing he does? We won in court. And I'm trying to say to myself, after I saw that, wow. This guy is totally mental. And you're right, Ben. How the hell do you ever trust somebody who is as cognitively dysfunctionate as this guy, who doesn't understand that you did not win the case? In fact, the case is proceeding on, and your motion was not just denied, but absolutely denied. And not once, but twice. Comes out, says, we won the case. I don't know. How do you give him the nuclear codes is right?
There you have it. Michael Cohen. On October 31st, on Halloween, we will be doing our first Zoom meetup. You can meet Michael Cohen. If you ever wanted to meet Michael Cohen on a Zoom chat, go to patreon.com/politicalbeatdown now. Make sure you're a member. You could submit questions the day before October 31st. We are doing a Halloween party. Hopefully you can attend. Meet Michael Cohen. The way you do that is by joining at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. You can ask Michael Cohen a question, patreon.com/politicalbeatdown. Join on Patreon right now. Have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.